Okay. So right now we're getting information to follow Marcos Jr. to his next stop in his itinerary that he's running away to. So keep your fingers peeled, crossed, whatever that means. You know, as the pages turn, the story unfolds for the Filipino people.
Alright, let's go! Security, if you can lead the way. Alright, everybody! Marcos is not welcome here! Marcos is not welcome here!
Oh, get ready for the rain! Oh, that's another part in our unfolding story, friends. The rain.
Marcos is not welcome here! Welcome here!
Okay, friends, tune in, follow your notifications in maybe like a couple of minutes or within 30 minutes. We will go live again to greet Marcos Jr. at his next stop in his itinerary. So, come back when we go live again. Thank you, friends. See you in a bit.
Marcos is not welcome here! 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 Marcos is not welcome here!
Oh, get ready for the rain. Oh, that's another part in our unfolding story, friends. The rain.
Marcos is not welcome here! Welcome here!
Okay, friends, tune in.
Marcos is not welcome here! 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 Marcos is not welcome here!
Oh, get ready for the rain. Oh, that's another part in our unfolding story, friends. The rain.
Marcos is not welcome here! Welcome here!
Okay, friends, follow your notifications in maybe like a couple of minutes or within 30 minutes. We will go live again to greet Marcos Jr. at his.
The Philippines is not for sale. Not for sale. Not for sale. The Philippines is not for sale. Not for sale. Not for sale. The Philippines is not for sale. Not for sale. Not for sale. The Philippines is not for sale. Not for sale. Not for sale. Hey, Biden, can't you hear? Marcos is not welcome here. Hey, Biden, can't you hear? Marcos is not welcome here. Hey, Biden, can't you hear? Marcos is not welcome here. Hey, Biden, can't you hear? Marcos is not welcome here. Hey, Biden, can't you hear? Marcos is not welcome here.
It's an honor, and I'm humbled to be here with all of you. My name's Melinda St. Louis. I am the director of the Global Trade Watch program at Public Citizen, U.S. consumer organization. On behalf of the 500,000 members and supporters of Public Citizen, I'm humbled to be here today. We're here because we are heartbroken and because we are determined. Just a couple of weeks ago, as Elena mentioned, Public Citizen and with the Communication Workers of America, as well as Bayan USA and other organizations, held a webinar with the brave organizers from the call centers in the Philippines to talk about the implications of the Biden administration's ongoing negotiations, trade negotiations with the Philippines, and the implications for work away from his community and his family and from all of us far too soon. And all of this is happening in the context of the Biden administration working aggressively to advance a trade negotiation in Asia called the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, or IPEF. And the Filipino government is participating in these negotiations. Now, those of us who have followed U.S. trade negotiations in the past know about the bad old days of free trade agreements that privilege the interests of corporations seeking resources and to move their capital all around the world at the expense of workers and human rights. We cannot allow this to continue. And President Biden, fortunately, has claimed that his administration is breaking from the past of corporate-dominated deals. And he will be pursuing what is called worker-centric trade in this agreement and in others. But as we know, the devil will be in the details. And so far, those details are few and far between because the texts of these negotiations are being kept secret. And it's really hard to imagine a truly worker-centered trade deal that allows any commercial benefits when labor organizers are being unfairly targeted by the government and brave organizers like Alex de la Rosa continue to be murdered with impunity. President Biden is meeting with President Marcos today, and our negotiators will continue their rapid negotiations next week in Singapore for the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. They'll be coming to Detroit later this month with the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Trade Ministers meeting to move these trade negotiations forward. And so our question is, will the rhetoric around worker-centered trade translate into accountability for the human rights violations that continue every day against workers in the Philippines, as well as in other countries with severe patterns of forced labor, child labor, and human rights violations, and LGBTQ persecution in the region? So, as I said, we are heartbroken as we send our condolences to the family and friends of Alex de la Rosa and every person who faces persecution for standing up for their rights. And we are determined to lift up their voices here and to those who are in power, and we will demand that President Biden deliver on this promise of worker-centered trade, which would begin by including strong labor rights standards backed by swift and certain enforcement by each facility and make sure that there are penalties for any violations that exist.
All right, everyone, as you know, I'm here representing the Palestinian youth movement. I want to ask you all something. Are you angry with what Biden and Marcos are doing right now? All right, all right. Are you ready to fight for justice and liberate the Philippines? All right, all right. I think I'm in the right place. And here's why. Because when the armed forces of the Philippines gets a shipment of weapons from the U.S., the war profiteers make a buck, all at the cost of Filipino lives and land. And when the Israeli occupation forces get a shipment of weapons from the U.S., the war profiteers make another buck, all at the cost of Palestinian lives and land. And it is with this that I come here today to tell you that Palestinians and Filipinos, we share a common enemy. And that common enemy is U.S. imperialism. Am I right? All right, all right. These joint military exercises happening between the U.S. and the armed forces of the Philippines are no different than police exchanges between the U.S. and Israel. Both have the same goal, and this is to ally with the Marcos regime in Israel to help feed the never-ending hunger of the U.S. government for political domination and U.S. corporations for profit. Am I right there? All right, all right. But make no mistake, Israel is no victim of U.S. control either. For Israel too is supplying weapons to the armed forces of the Philippines. From tanks to planes to ships, Israel is selling the same weapons it uses to kill Palestinians and steal Palestinian land to the Marcos regime now, to kill Filipinos and sell Filipino land to U.S. corporations. And so in Israel, we too have a common enemy. And I speak to you as a Palestinian in diaspora, a Palestinian in exile, a feeling that I'm sure all of you are painfully familiar with. Yeah. And I just want to say, it's hard, I know, but don't feel discouraged. We're united together here in the heart of U.S. empire, surrounded by weapons manufacturers like Lockheed Martin not too far from us, and the politicians who sanction their sale. We can defeat Marcos, defeat Israel, and stop the U.S. war machine. And with that, I want to hear you all shout with me. Let me hear you say, from Palestine to the Philippines, stop the U.S. war machine. From Palestine to the Philippines.
Stop the U.S. war machine!
All right, thank you so much.
From Palestine to the Philippines! From Palestine to the Philippines! Stop the U.S. war machine! Palestine to the Philippines!
Stop the U.S. war machine! Yeah! Thank you, Sammy. One more round of applause. Thank you, Sammy.
So I'm gonna teach you guys a new Tagalog curse word. When I say pakshit ka, you all say Marcos. Pakshit ka!
Marcos!
Pakshit ka!
Marcos!
Pakshit ka!
Marcos!
When I say pakshit ang, you say U.S. military. Pakshit ang! Pakshit ang! Salamat. My name is Nelly and I'm from Anakbayan, DC. We're an anti-imperialist organization that mobilizes and organizes Filipino youth for national democracy. We are here today because just a few feet away from us, Biden and BBM are meeting. We've heard from other organizations already how Marcos has sold out the Philippines and how U.S. military presence has impacted Filipinos in the homeland. Having a U.S. military presence in the Philippines has been framed as something positive. They say that the U.S. is there to defend the Filipinos, but the reality is anything but. The Philippine military, backed and supported by the U.S., has forcibly displaced Lumad youth and their families from their ancestral lands. And when these communities set up their own backwit schools, so that youth could still have access to education despite being displaced, they shut those schools down. These violent efforts to close schools, erase history, and to speak their languages are attacks on who we are. These places of learning honor the struggle to know ourselves when dictators and militaries forces want us to put our heads down, speak what they speak, and work until our grandparents, parents, and loved ones drop from exhaustion or leave our homeland for false promises of security and wealth. EDCA and the Balikatan exercises, which we heard from our speakers earlier, threaten our relationships to everyone in our homeland, the connections to the land that we've inherited. We forget the names and sacred places as toxic wastes pour in. and watchtowers and armories fill where our people live, farm, and raise our families. We normalize violence against women, children, queer, and trans siblings as military men fill the pocketbooks of politicians and war profiteers. But it doesn't need to be like this. A safer, sustainable Philippines is possible, where every child has right to education and access to good, nutritious food every day, where our farmers are celebrated and our lands are protected, where peace is a lasting reality. Marcos is here all week. Join us in opposing him and demanding US out of the Philippines. And even when Marcos returns to the Philippines, the people will continue to fight until there are no more US military bases in the Philippines. Until our people are no longer subject to violence militarism brings. Until our youth have access to safe education. Until the Marcos dynasty answers to their crimes against the Filipino people. We will never forget and we will fight. Maki Baka! Maki Baka! Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat. Hello, can everyone hear me okay? I'm speaking on behalf of CHIRP, which is a coalition for the human rights in the Philippines at UMD. And hello. Money, power, and greed fuel the U.S. war machine. This imperialist machine is a pervasive parasite that survives through the continued blood-sucking of the labor and capital of the Filipino people. U.S. and reactionaries claim protection is the objective of their continued military presence. Do not fall for the perception. Our perceptions show that these military bases are an encroachment on the Philippines, sipping every last drop of labor power from the Filipino people only to benefit the U.S. regime. This is shameful. We must and will continue to practice solidarity with the Filipino people so that they will break their chains, for struggle will eventually lead to success. What is even more shameful, however, is the lies of the governmental and defense regime they claim in order to justify the 4 new military bases under EDCA. They characterize their relationship with the Philippines as mutually beneficial, calling decades of colonization, neo-colonization, an alliance, and not an exploitative relationship as justification. In spite of spinning a web of lies, the U.S. imperialist empire leaves out any of their true goals. The Department of Defense sees that a large part of their motivation is imperialist competition for control of the Indo-Pacific region. Say that. This is made clear by their words about how the military bases will, quote, allow us to respond more seamlessly together to address a range of shared challenges in the Indo-Pacific region, including natural and humanitarian disasters. The lies despite their spins are obvious. Further still, humanitarian crises are propagated by the Marcos regime and the Filipino government. How can practices such as falsely identifying people as terrorists and silencing the people's voices are not considered humanitarian crises themselves? How come it continues? The answer is not to stop these crises. They wish to silence the masses instead. The armed forces of the Philippines commit atrocities of their own, killing indigenous people and propagating violence against the innocent. They recently underwent training with the U.S. military in the Balagatan exercises, using stolen Filipino land to test weapons, including artillery, bombs, guns, and other weapons of war. The people did not ask for this. No! Marcos, what do you take life and freedom for exactly? How long does it take you to comprehend that the people are burning? The masses feel this. We have to be decisive in building our ranks and strengthening people power. We will win. Let today's demonstration against the Marcos regime be reprieve from reactionary forces that aim to break our spirits and blow to U.S. imperialism and the puppet Marcos Duarte regime.